Hello, welcome to the Opinionistics. I'm your host, John Malone. In this episode, I brought on co-host Risk11, and introducing from literally nowhere, it's going to be one of those episodes we just discuss on whatever.
Yes,
So, where do we start?
you said you want to bring an AI person on.
Did I?
I think
No,
you did.
no, I said AI on Riverside is implemented somewhere. I didn't say there was an AI
Wait,
person.
so you're saying we can't bring on like AI voices and that, so we can't have a conversation like Stephen Hawking?
No, we can't have a conversation with an AI person.
Oh, they should have done that.
Yeah, that would have been so cool.
How far can we go on this? Or, I have
There's no limit.
from here, right? So okay, so what? So let's roll through what happened. Donald Trump was shot. Most likely, this was done by the CIA or the intelligence community. They tried to assassinate him, replace him, and there's a bunch of fucking liberals fucking cheering about it. How mentally ill are these people?
I don't know.
They're fucking cheering for someone to die. That's not normal. And supposedly the guy that supposedly shot the guy, right? He was Jewish.
Really?
Supposedly. And also his security detail, some of his security detail were Jewish as well. Okay, so what else is there?
Well, I sent something else in the chat.
Okay, what happened? I haven't seen anything apart from the Riverside app.
Well, on Riverside, there's a function where you can establish a full episode where the silences between us talking is cut out, so it's just
Interesting.
it cuts to it cuts to whoever's talking next in an instant, in a snap of a finger.
Fuck, this is the future, isn't it?
Yes, it is the future.
This may they said that this is like I thought they basically talked about literally, you know, seemed like I read some of the comments. It basically said this app takes you from fucking paid, take you from a free user to a paid user quite quickly, supposedly.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I think that's long gone now.
Okay, so it's not a free app.
Yeah, I think majority of features and functions on Riverside are free to use. You don't need to pay a subscription.
Oh, thank God. Should we try and see if we can get Eric in?
Yeah, I think he should join on. He has used Riverside a while ago, so he should know how this works.
Yeah. They finally talked about the media finally broke the fact about the reformed shadow candidates in the papers.
Okay, all right then.
Yeah, I think they thought. So they finally talked. We broke that before the mainstream media ever broke that.
Yeah,
Day
it
one.
sure is interesting. Yeah, day one, I guess.
Because we broke it on the night that it freaking came. So where does America go from here? Me and Eric were having a conversation. Where does America go from here? Because 10 years, the country will need 10 years to freaking fix everything it is going on so far.
Yeah, I'm honestly thinking, if he does it, he does 2 full terms. Not even that is going to be enough.
So what do you suggest it does? Do you think the country should be broke up into two?
You mean separate between
Republican.
the Republican and the Democrat
Yes,
states?
Republican states get their own country, Democrat states get their own country, and we'll have a little social experiment. What works? Does multiculturalism work, or does fucking keeping borders, a religion based having a basic form of respect for other people, and quite honestly, literally just and basically a form of capitalism? What's better, capitalism or communism? We'll have the social experiment. The Jews will get their social experiment. Which one's stronger? Is it the liberals that drink soy milk, or is it the freaking conservatives that freaking eat meat? We'll wait and see.
I think something like that has already happened.
They
I think there's already experiments within one specific country. One part was under a capitalistic economic
Are you talking
structure.
North Korea and South Korea?
That too, but I'm talking about another country in Europe. I'm talking about East and West Germany.
Yes.
So West Germany, after World War II, many of the Western nations, such as France, the US, and the UK, administered parts of what is West Germany for a few years, whilst the Soviet Union administered was East Germany, especially including East Berlin, whilst West Berlin was also divided up into the sections administered by the three Western nations.
And then they effectively merged all their things, all their cities.
Yes, when the Berlin Wall crashed down, East and West Germany became one, and then as the years go by, uh, a lot of remnants of East Germany. How do I put this lightly? It kind of settled down and vanished into thin air, like as if it never happened. Well, you can still see parts of it in its history today, but of course, if you look at Berlin,
Still, if you look at the divides, there are still divides between East and West Germany.
yes,
They feel like the East Germans feel like they are literally but they don't feel represented as much as the West Germans.
yes, that's one aspect of it. But of course, as the years go by, looking at how Germany was split up, what was known as West Germany, a lot in terms of the technology and what light bulbs were used in the streets, most of it was a lot more advanced than it was on the eastern side of Germany, which was under the Soviet Union. And the thing is, actually, if Berlin did not exist, Germany could actually be a couple million or even £1 billion richer. So that would be more economically off better if they didn't have Berlin. That's crazy, actually wild. And of course, if all the other developed nations such as UK, US, Greece, Rome, if they had got rid of their capital cities, they would be worse off. Only Germany would be better off if they gotten rid of Berlin. That actually says something. That is shocking. Well, anyway, while Risk is on mute, I'm just gonna look for some statistics on Twitter. I'm not calling it X, by the way, because no. I think Risk can still hear me, it's just, I don't know. If you know, you know. It is what it is. He knows too much, I know too much. Everyone knows way too much. Oh my gosh, I was gonna look for something statistic-wise, but it's all filled with Donald Trump was nearly assassinated. Like, it's absolutely wild how much attention someone can get. Can't argue with the people, whether or not they disagree or agree. Okay, so top 20 most expensive cities for luxury living. Number 20, Mumbai. Okay, I mean, I know it's a big city, but really, Mumbai? I'll take it. 19, Frankfurt. 18, Barcelona, of course. 17, Bangkok. 16, Mexico City. 15, Miami. 14, Jakarta. 13, Taipei, in Taiwan. 12, Dubai. Not surprising, I thought it would be much higher. 11, Sydney. 10, Milan. 9, Sao Paulo. 8, Paris. 7, New York City. Alright then. 6, Zurich. Makes sense. Number 5, Monaco. Yes, that makes all the sense. Number 4, Shanghai. Number 3, London. Oh, that's pretty mixed. Mixed opinions, actually. I could see why, but most of Londoners aren't that rich to begin with. Number 2, Hong Kong. And then finally, number 1, most expensive city, Singapore. I guess that makes sense. Are you still there, Risk? Hello? Risk 11. Oh my gosh. They got him. I can't believe they got him. It's just gonna be me just talking all the time. Okay, so Eric can't join because he's doing a foundation class at his church. Good for him. I'm getting so many messages these days. Now I understand I know everyone is entitled to their own opinions, and everyone has their own viewpoints on the world. I was just looking back on the assassination attempt on Trump. Oh, you're back. Where you been?
Oh, sorry about that.
It's alright. I managed to keep myself busy for a while.
So what did you talk about?
So I was gonna. So I went through like most expensive cities for luxury living, and I was about to get into how the fact that the intention of assassination on anyone is out of order. It's not acceptable. I don't know why
I see
people
I see
go on.
mass similarities to what they did to the Abe guy in Japan, the Japan's Prime Minister Jose Abe, or the
Oh
guy
yes.
probably one of the nicest politicians you probably meet or see, and the guy got assassinated because he actually stood up to these people because he didn't want to have regrets later on in life. And so what happens here if Trump doesn't get elected? Roll us through what happens.
Well, okay. So if in the event Trump does not get elected, there will be protests. There'll be outrages. Not just in DC, but there's going to be protests all across the nation.
Not all across the nation. I can guarantee there'll be protests in the fucking European Union and the EU.
Yes.
There'll be protests in South America. There'll be protests in India. There'll be protests all around the fucking world.
Everyone's going to hear about it, and we will not hear the end of it. And if Trump does not get elected again,
I can guarantee you there'll be civil war. I can guarantee the Republican states and will fuck the British. I can guarantee you the Republican states will have to secede because I can guarantee you the population that support Trump will fucking freak. They will want civil war. They will want to be independent and they will want to secede from the American Union. There's already votes for people in Texas. There's also supposedly growing consent in Texas for people for. A while ago, there was a growing consent in people in Texas to fucking go independent. I can see there'll be a lot of other Republican states that would probably join Texas. I can see a lot of the states in Florida. I can see Alabama effectively becoming part of Florida, effectively. That state joining Florida and becoming a bigger state. And then I can see the states next to them, like, I think I can see Nashville and that joining them as well. I can see a lot of the Republican states forming. I can see all the Republican states effectively, apart from maybe Wyoming, or one of the some of the ones that are more leaning Democrat, right? I can see a lot of them effectively becoming their own country. So what else is there? So what happens if World War III starts? What would be
the
the first country Putin invades once if World War III starts? If I were him, I'd take Poland, so I can get back my bottom territory in Poland. I'd then invade Norway and Sweden, take back those territories to give me access to the northeast. I'd then start taking Berlin back, so I'd have access to Kaliningrad. I'd then solidify my borders and create a hard buffer zone between me and NATO. So what hope is there for the UK?
well, all I can say about the UK is,
They're doomed.
well, yes, that's one of them. However, Labour have made. I'm not. How do I put this in a way that people will understand?
They've made
They have they have
decisions.
they, they have put in place what pledges, well, some of the pledges that they want to implement. So they got rid of the Rwanda plan. They are planning to tackle the sewage waters to make sure it's clean, they say.
Okay.
Uh, and they also want to lift the ban on wind turbines, so they want to be energy independent. So they want to create their own energy to give to the UK people and then possibly sell it off to other countries.
So
However, with
fucking mine oil.
yeah, it's certainly not. They're not going to mine oil. I don't think
That's the
that's.
only way you're gonna fucking make money and be able to sell it and provide for the UK people. Mine fucking oil. Drill, drill, drill. Like the great President Donald Trump said, drill, baby, drill. We've got
Can't argue with that.
fucking resources in the northeast that should be utilised.
And also, oil is rare.
It's rare. It'll make us money.
Yes, drill
We could.
as much as you get rid of as much oil as you can, sell it off, and use whatever money you've made from the oil and redistribute it to other sectors, so you can so financially stability in the nation.
Labour's fucking idiots. They should fucking mine and drill, baby, drill. Drill the fucking pure oil. Utilise it. They also want to create a sovereign wealth fund, right? How are they going to fund that? If they don't drill oil, they're not going to be able to fund anything. They also want to create a new energy company.
Yeah, which is going to be nationalized, from what I've heard.
So does that mean they're going to how are they going to nationalize it? By nationalizing BP?
Well, actually, yeah, that could be the case, actually.
I don't want them to nationalize BP. I don't want them to create a new energy company. If I'm gonna do that, fucking do it from scratch. Don't fucking nationalize companies already there.
But either way, if they are going to nationalize it, they should at least have their services provided in other countries so they can make external profits. I mean, France has done it, but France is pretty much doing it already with their national energy company and charging Brits for energy in the UK, and whatever profits made from there is, from what I've heard, is given to French people.
But don't we
Maybe,
do that with BT though? Don't we do that with telecoms with BT? I'm pretty sure BT is more of a British telecoms in America in certain aspects. Like, are you saying that the French haven't seen EE Mobile? Because EE is owned by freaking BT.
oh yeah.
We fucking
I,
sell a shitload of stuff to the fucking countries. We supposedly sell a shitload. We also sell a lot of telecom communications and that through Vodafone and Free. And that's just Vodafone and Free. That's not talking about Virgin Mobile.
well, yeah,
Dot,
that's a
dot.
start.
So what happens with we also effectively we also you think of it like this, right? We also export supermarkets as well, right? Our Tesco
Yeah,
owns
yeah,
a shitload of
Tesco.
supermarkets in foreign countries. One Hungary and another one Slovakia. And used to be Poland, but they got out of Poland. I think they used to own in Romania as well, but I think they got out of Romania. France, though, France basically exploits its influence, right? It controls the food supply because France has so many supermarkets around most of Europe. Same with Aldi.
Hmm?
What we need to do is focus on building new companies. We need to focus on inspiring entrepreneurs, right? We need to lower taxes for business. We need to lower taxes in general for the British population. We need to make it enticing for people to start businesses in the UK. We need to not tax them into fucking oblivion, because what's the point? You're just going to lose them to freaking America. Like, we could have opened DeepMind, right, was a British AI startup, right, and it got acquired by Google. And the reason why it got acquired by Google is because the British public weren't given the British government and the British public barely knew about it, because quite honestly, the government didn't give it enough attention, and we're about to lose Britvic to the fucking the Norwegians, effectively. Well, no, the
Yes.
Finnish. We're about to lose Britvic to the Finnish because of the British stock market not valuing them properly, and them seeing a freaking deal, and they got a good deal out of that, out of buying Britvic. The thing is, British people, they don't invest in their own companies, right? The British companies have got so much value. They've got value. There's value in the British stock market. There's value in the British companies.
But they're not utilizing it
Yeah, they're
properly.
not utilising it. They're not investing in it. They're not taking advantage of it. But the British public don't invest in their own companies. But effectively, they're really good. I invest in the British company. I invest in British companies all the time. I see value in them. I see that. I think British companies are massively undervalued compared to New York. Thingy. It's because, quite honestly, because the British public don't fucking invest. Which is strange because I would have thought the British had still had a fucking massive monopoly in banking. They do, secondly, but the city, who knows? So when does reform get in?
I'd give it minimum the next election. It's a start with 5 seats. It's a long way for reform to get to the level they want to be at.
So you don't think they're going to get? You don't think they're going to You don't think they're going to merge with the Tories and take those 100 seats from Conservatives, and then the Conservatives basically kneel to Farage? So what happens in the reform Conservative thing? Do the Tories effectively become part of reform, or do the reform become part of them?
I think what's most likely to happen, Farage himself said that he wants reform to take over the Tories. So what he wants is having majority of the Tory politicians to join reform.
And which in turn gives him the 100 seats. Realistically, how many of those 100 seats do you really think would join reform?
As of now, don't that's not likely from the top of my head. At
So you
least
don't think
now.
Suella Braverman would potentially be interested in joining reform and her MPs and her party, her side?
Maybe, but she does not want to admit that
Yeah,
because a lot of Tories don't want to say the Conservatives are crumbling down right now. They would never want to say that, even though it is obvious
Yeah,
they would have to spell that out.
we're never going to say that, but it's the truth. They're crumbling.
Yes. And if it is, their best resort is jumping ship, joining reform.
The thing is, the thing is though, right? There were a lot of guys, right, in that party that were planning on joining reform, right, but got ousted. A lot of them candidates were going to join reform. I can guarantee you. A lot of Lee Anderson's buds, right? A lot of his mates, I think they were pretty much going to be joining reform, right? A lot of his drinking buddies, who I'm pretty sure were planning to join reform, right? But they were just waiting it out and seeing how this election turned out, right? And they ended up losing their seats, right? Here's the funny thing, though, right? The people that
Mm-hmm.
actually probably cared about the British public, right? I think with all the fucking honesty to get rid of the Tories, right? They ousted some of the good MPs that actually genuinely cared about their constituents. And now you're basically left with a bunch of safe seat wet wipes that are basically Cameron Stooges and maybe the odd freaking diversity hire. It's the truth. I think conservatives were played for fools. They elected Starmer, right? They elected Labour, right? And then they voted reform, right? And then and now they're stuck with a Labour government, and they're effectively stuck with a bunch of freaking, and the people that MPs that are left are a bunch of Tory wet wipes. People always say, "Oh, there's a bunch of people." Everybody hated freaking Jacob Rees-Mogg, but I actually thought he was quite an interesting person, interesting character. He had some depth. He was willing to call out freaking Starmer. He's the mini Rishi Sunak. He's effectively Starmer was acting more like a freaking conservative than Sunak.
That is so embarrassing.
What is
The fact that a politician is becoming what they quote despise.
yeah, yeah. At least he even said to himself after Jeremy Corbyn, right? The Labour, they learned, they evaluated, they changed their way, they adapted, they decided to go straight more to the right, supposedly. Even though I doubt that.
Oh, it all wouldn't be out of the question they did, because yeah, I don't know. I don't know how else to
But
say it.
the thing is though, without Corbyn now, right? Corbyn was the one that freaking got them away from the whole EU policy, right? And now they're a bunch of freaking Blair sycophants that love the EU. They're going back to the Blair sycophant age, where
Yeah.
effectively they're like Blair. They're mini Blairs. Effectively, like Nigel said, he's Blair without the flair.
That's pretty good, actually.
He has no, yeah. He's basically Starmer's a basically carbon copy of fucking Tony Blair. Tony Blair's fucking people are in his fucking government. In that government, they're basically in his council.
Even if
Blair
Starmer tries to replicate what Blair did, the original will never
be
be as
better.
good as the sequel.
Blair the Flair.
No, wait, the sequel will never be as good as the original.
Yeah. Tony Blair is freaking awful for this country. Wasn't he the guy that freaking got us into freaking? He got us into so many wars,
Including the one about the war on terror,
yeah,
the weapons of mass destruction. I've heard.
Where the British people lost fucking. There's tons of British people that died, right? And we got barely any fucking benefit. Like, Jimmy, if I'm going to be honest, the
Go on.
only way you can get me involved or get me happy about fucking Ukraine is if you let Britain carve up half of fucking Ukraine's territory. The only way I'm going to be happy about Ukraine is they let Britain carve up half of our fucking territory and make them a fucking colony or a vassal. That's the only way it's going to keep me entertained or keep me happy about Ukraine. I'm not interested unless they fucking pledge loyalty to Britain and give us their fucking land. If not, we'll take it. I have said to Faithy, honestly think at the state of Africa and these Middle Eastern countries that are, especially in the ones with all these people coming to this country, right? I'm starting to think maybe it might be best for us to just fucking colonize them. Civilize them. Because the
Yeah,
behavior that some of these people are having when they come to this country, it's like third world. And they have the idea that it's okay to have sex with children. It's not.
I'll never get that.
Yeah. They need to be colonized. I don't want to do it to India, because I think India's actually a nice country, but they need to realize it's not okay to freaking do that to children.
There has to be a common
Yeah,
understanding
there's
and a common interest.
children are children. Let them be children.
I agree to that.
Right?
Yeah.
I also think Britain, if Britain were to invade Africa, right, they could stop slavery. 700 million people are still enslaved in Africa and in the Middle East. And Britain said they supposedly got rid of slavery, right? They abolished it. At least in all their realms. Anything else, maybe not. Russia abandoned serfdom in Russia, and America abandoned slavery effectively in its territory, apart from South America. Is South America part of America? Of the American Empire?
Maybe. Technically, yes. But
Don't they already have freaking puppet governments in those territories? Don't they effectively own South America? They're just not willing to claim it on the map.
yeah,
Cuba's effectively their
I
country
don't
anyway.
want to make it obvious because if it's obvious, people would be outraged. They're gonna say something. They want to stop it, and once
Why can't they literally just freaking admit them into the Union? Why can't they admit them to America? Why can't they make Cuba part of the states? Supposedly, Cuba was a part of the American states, right? But they got kicked out, supposedly, and they've got blockades and barricades on them import trade restrictions on them ever since. So, what do you think will happen if Trump gets elected?
so if Trump gets elected, I think what he do in the first few weeks, he's gonna bring back the policies that he introduced last time he was in office, including addressing the issues and making adjustments and finding solutions
What do you
to.
think? Do you think he's going to make? Do you think he's going to allow Israel to carry on bombing these people? I have my suspicions he will. That might actually be good for them. Who knows?
But remember, Donald Trump is a businessman. He is going to negotiate somehow.
He's going to allow them to have land, right? And they're going to have to tell Israel, "You're going to fucking stay where you are." I don't know. I don't think he'll do that. I think he'll honestly give Israel a free pass because he's so indebted to these guys, right? But these guys bailed him out, bailed his company out when it went under. His companies when they went under. So what happens after Trump? Right? You said it's going to take more than 10 years to fix what America's going through.
Well, after Trump, who would be the next possible Republican candidate?
Honestly, literally just abandon the fucking presidency thing and literally just install a monarch and make the Trump family basically heads of the country. And the country, America, the liberals that don't want that effectively should just go. They can have form their own union. They can create their own president. Who knows? The thing is, if America were to break up, right, what would happen to Cuba and Guatemala and all those places? Would they get their own territory? Would they become independent? Or what would happen to Japan? Because Japan and Germany are still vassal states. Would that mean they get their independence back? Or
Maybe. In a technical sense, they would.
what about UK? Will it get some independence back from America? Since all Britain's effectively a vassal state of America at this point. I'm surprised.
Well, yes.
I'm surprised they
You
don't
know,
fucking make us part of the union.
yeah, UK will have some technicality of independence. I think the UK would be in a better state than the other so-called vassal states because the financial institutions that they have it's the reason why both the UK and US are doing so well. It's the money that makes the world go round.
You mean the money that doesn't exist? It's printed. It's in digital. It never has to exist. It's a fugazi. It's a Ponzi scheme.
Yes, and if there is money to show people, that's where it's going to be held. To show that people would know there is money there, but it's not backed by anything. It's just paper with a value on it. That's all it is.
Seems like Eric wants to start a political party. Why
Yeah,
don't
he
we call
does.
it Reform? Reform America.
Or maybe Reform America could be a branch to the Reform Party, possibly.
The only downside is we wouldn't support Israel. I'd be willing to make. I think if I were president, I'd be willing to say the word. I would be willing to make. I'd be willing to make Israel a terrorist state. Why are they putting a woman charged? Why are they putting a woman in charge of the freaking Secret Service? Women shouldn't be in the Secret Service. They should be literally at home, or quite honestly, baking cookies or being a teacher. Freemasons, Rothschild Bank, Bohemian Grove, Globalist, BlackRock Vanguard, Satanic Jews, Elite, New World Order, WEF. So, where does it start? It starts with the Freemasons, the Rothschilds, Bohemian Grove, BlackRock Vanguard, Satanists, the Elite, New World Order, the Bilderberg Group. Well, it's basically all Jews, but you can't say that because, you know. So what else is there?
Everything on Twitter is all about the assassination attempt. It's absolutely wild. Maybe not now, but in the next few years, there'll be a few more people that will start to question things. What's going on in this world? Why this? Why that? How could this be? They will know. We just they they won't know until it's too late.
So just to be clear, you called me a psychopathic rat and the enemy of mankind, and you refuse to sit with me because I don't support Israel. But you have a civil convo with Destiny and tell him that his support of assassin who tried to kill Trump is regrettable. Nice. Anything else, or is that us?
The world is a stage. You get the most attention, you receive the most opportunities to succeed. There's either spectators watching whatever's going on, the amusement and entertainment, or you could be the person on stage, creating the amusement or the enactment. And if you get so much praise or so much hate, you go on to do other reenactments of other stories or topics. And if you do well in those, the process repeats itself.
History is but history is but a lie. History is but a set of lies that are agreed upon. Napoleon Bonaparte, and they will manipulate history, making you try and believe that whites did not conquer whites, where the white population is not British, when in fact it is. Every Roman king was white. All the great monarchs were white. Have you ever questioned the reason why has there never been a black king of England? Why? Because they never had power. They were servants. And there never will be a black king of England. If there is, then England is dead. There won't be a country. Yet the media loves, yet the film industry and the movie industry loves to fucking put black people as kings. They'll never be kings. And if
There's
they
a
were
way.
kings, we're effectively puppet states of fucking Britain and the foreign powers. Men are strong, let men protect men. It is a joke to have women protecting men. It is. So what happens with YouTube? And what happens with Rumble?
Rumble will do well, and YouTube, as always, not much, but probably certainly past its peak.
So you think Rumble? Do you think Rumble's gonna has a future, or is it?
Yeah, I do think Rumble does have a potential to do very well, although it's not going to be mainstream social media platform. It's going to be like
You don't think it could become mainstream over time? Or
it can be mainstream over time, but the time it would take, it's going to be a long one.
the thing is, though, Rumble to an extent is still controlled because who do you think Rumble's a publicly traded stock, right? Who do
Yeah,
you think owns it?
the stockholders.
Yes, and who are those said stockholders going to be?
Well,
Institutions which are owned by Jews. James O'Keefe, they can't even holster a gun properly. It's systemic rot, incompetence, and corruption at almost all levels. Did you know that the guy, Thomas Matthew Crocs guy, was basically featured in a BlackRock ad?
oh yeah, I've seen the message you sent in the chat. Yeah, yeah, definitely not some kind of
My
get up.
thoughts, this to me stinks of MK Ultra. To me is that someone would even come across this so fast. Like, how do you cross-reference the name of the school and BlackRock? What do you think? MK Ultra. Do you think someone tried to save him?
Say for
Do you think someone actually warned Trump he was going to die from the future? Possibly.
controversially, there could be someone that despises Trump so much. I think they wanted him unalived. That is just out of order. Yes, we have our own opinions, but for someone to just be unalive like that is no.
Yesterday, Finland approved a law preventing immigrants from crossing the border. Immigrants arrive at the border will not be accepted and will be pushed back. Today, Muslim immigrants held a protest march against this law in Helsinki. Did you hear about Poland's law that effectively used armed lethal force on people that try and enter the country illegally? The UK should adopt that, but sadly they won't.
I guess that's true.
Just then, Russia says it's obvious Donald Trump's life was in danger after numerous attempts to eliminate candidate Trump from the political arena using first legal instruments, courts and prosecutors attempt to politically discredit and compromise the candidate. It was obvious to all outside observers that his life was in danger. Gentleman Donald Trump impeached, arrested and convicted, shot, still standing. 8 countries are involved, all of them. Did you know that George Soros came up with a plan to basically ethnically cleanse Europe?
Did he?
Look up Viktor Orban. He basically did a speech about showing a bit of paper about George Soros, his plan to freaking ethnically conquer freaking Europe. And basically
That is wild. That's wild.
Orban Viktor. I actually like Orban. I think he's an interesting candidate. Yet sadly they say, oh, he's a Putin puppet. How's he a Putin puppet? He's the only one that's freaking trying for peace. How can you be a Putin puppet if you're trying for peace?
Maybe it's the case that what he said could have been more outraging to others more than Trump has been. It's
You
possible.
cannot make peace from a comfortable armchair in Brussels. Even if the routing EU president has no mandate to negotiate on behalf of the EU, we cannot sit back and wait for war to miraculously end. We will serve an important tool to make the first steps towards peace. How did guys like George Soros get so much power?
One thing and one thing only. Money, money, money.
Did you know
Sadly.
that Emmanuel Macron used to work at Rothschild & Co? Same with George Soros was friends with the guys at Rothschild & Co.
Question is, who hasn't and gotten into the position that they got it in themselves
Supposedly,
into?
Macron's married a Rothschild. Bastard. That's his wife. And they're super friendly with the freaking... What was his name? The... Arnold. Okay, that's us done. Is that us done?
Yep.